alone, but she wasn't too sure of the woman's sanity. Chrissten Lawton was around her age, tall, with pale blue eyes and long blonde hair. She was also crazy. She claimed to have been kept captive for more than a year and a half. Bethany's stomach knotted at the thought. She didn't think she could last that long. She'd find a way out or die trying. The long captivity and whatever it was their captors had done had obviously made the other woman lose her grip on reality. Christen believed she was a werewolf, or rather a half-breed werewolf, and she told Bethany that she was one too. Bethany had been afraid of Christen the first few days she'd been locked up with her, but when the other woman hadn't threatened any kind of physical violence, Bethany had gradually begun to relax. She liked Christen when she wasn't talking crazy. Werewolves. It was insane to think it, let alone say it. Sure, Bethany was stronger than most women she knew. She'd never been sick a day in her life, and had a keen sense of smell and superior vision. That was simply a product of luck and good genetics. Nothing more, nothing less. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. Hunger was quickly becoming a way of life. Dr. Morton, one of the crazies who'd kidnapped her, fed her and Christen enough to keep them alive and relatively healthy, but not near enough for them to stay strong. Bethany had a fast metabolism and needed a lot of food to keep her strength up. Christen was the same. The lack of energy kept them both lethargic, which was what the doctor wanted. "Are you awake?" She kept her voice low, almost a whisper. If Christen was still sleeping, Bethany didn't want to wake her. Yet lying here thinking about her desperate situation wasn't getting her anywhere. If anything, it made her stomach hurt and her hands clammy. At first, Christen didn't answer, but Bethany felt a sudden alertness in the other woman. "Yes, I'm awake." "Do you think we'll ever find a way out of here?" Bethany was rapidly losing all sense of hope. After all, Christen was a smart woman, taller than Bethany, strong too, and she'd been held for months and months without finding a way out. Christen didn't answer, which was, of course, an answer in itself. Bethany turned her head away and continued to stare at the ceiling as she reviewed everything she'd learned in the past 2 weeks. They were being held captive by a man who considered himself a scientist, but in reality he was a raving lunatic. According to Christen, his name was Dr. Philip Morton, and he was convinced she and Christen were half-breed werewolves. He wanted to test their blood, their genetics, to find out how it differed from regular humans. According to Christen, the doctor's plan was to try to determine if there was a way to turn humans into werewolves. At the moment, the only way to create a half-breed werewolf was the old-fashioned way, through sex between a pure-blood werewolf and a human. And even then, it was a very rare thing for a child to be the result of such an encounter. If the experiments succeeded, the doctor would get the power of a male werewolf for himself, and the werewolves who were helping him would get more females to mate with and thereby repopulate their species. Maybe that's where Christen got all her insane ideas. After months of being locked up, Bethany was afraid she'd begin to believe all this crazy talk too. Then there was the doctor's sidekick, a giant of a man called Brian, who seemed to be particularly enamored of Christen. This guy was the craziest of them all. He'd bought into the doctor's theories. Brian believed he really was one of these pure-blood werewolves. For real. She knew Brian had raped Christen, and more than once. The other woman wouldn't talk about it, but she'd been gone from their cell for several hours one day, and had returned bruised and battered. The doctor had confirmed Bethany's fears. He'd mentioned it in passing the next day while he was drawing a vial of Bethany's blood. He'd spoke about it as easily as one might talk about the weather. The doctor wanted Christen to get pregnant. He wanted to test her body during pregnancy and experiment on the baby once it was born. The conversation had turned Bethany's blood to ice, and she hadn't felt warm since. She feared that was her fate as well if she didn't get out of here. The clink of metal